Hey guys, how's it going? Today's lesson is on legato. Now, if you've never heard of legato or you're not exactly sure what it is, it's a technique that exists in music where we play notes in a way that flows and we play them smoothly. And what that means on guitar is instead of using our picking hand to pick each note, we are using our left hand or our fretting hand to play the notes for us. So I'll be showing you the basics of the legato technique, as well as teaching you the exercise that I just played in the beginning of the video. So let's check it out. Alright, so as I just mentioned, the legato technique on guitar is focused on the left hand. So what exactly does that mean? Well, if I take some notes and just pick through them normally like this, right, that would be called staccato because I'm picking each individual note. But if I play the same thing using legato, I'm going to be using hammer-ons and pull-offs instead of picking each note. So I can pick the first note, but the rest will be up to the fretting hand. But legato is not always hammer-ons and pull-offs, it could be slides as well. Right, it has its own very unique sound, and it can also help us play very fast passages that would otherwise be impossible to pick through. So when it comes to learning the technique, just start by picking a note anywhere on the fretboard. So I'll pick the 9th fret of the G string. So I'm just going to pick this note once, and with my 3 remaining fingers, I'm just going to practice doing hammer-ons and pull-offs. You can do that sort of thing with all your fingers, so you can practice using your middle finger and ring finger, middle finger and pinky, ring finger and pinky. And once you're comfortable with that sort of thing, which is what we call trills, then you are ready for legato. And in my opinion, the number one thing that holds people back from being able to play legato fast is that when they're doing hammer-ons and pull-offs, their movements are way too big. So when you're first starting out with your hammer-ons and pull-offs, you might feel this urge to lift your finger as far away from the fretboard as possible before doing a hammer-on and using all your strength to come down to make the note sound. Because it guarantees you'll get a sound when you do your hammer-on, but the distance you move your finger away and all that strength you use to bring it back to the fretboard, it's just eating away your energy and it's making you play a lot slower. So when you're practicing your hammer-ons and pull-offs, really try to keep your fingers as close to the fretboard as you possibly can while still getting a good sound. The other thing is that if you're using these very big movements on the way back, you might end up bending the string out of tune. So that's the basics of the technique, and that's all it is. So now let's check out the exercise. So this little exercise is a great little workout for the left hand. It'll help you build some finger strength and also help you build speed. And all it is we're doing permutations of the 3-note per string C major scale. And by permutations, I mean we play the scale in such a way that there are patterns that repeat. So how do we play it? We're going to start by going to the 8th fret of the low E string and we're going to pick that. After that, we're going to hammer onto the 10th and then the 12th fret. So it's going to be... Then we're going to do the same thing on the A string. We're going to pick the 8, hammer onto 10, hammer onto 12. Except we're going to do that twice. So it's going to be... And then we're going to go to the D string and we're going to pick the 9th fret and we're going to hammer onto the 10th fret and then hammer on to the 12th fret. So far we've got... Now we're going to go back to the A string and we're going to play the same thing we played the first time. Pick the 8th fret, hammer onto the 10, hammer onto the 12. Then we're going to go to the D string and play what we played before. Pick the 9, hammer onto 10, hammer onto 12. Except we're going to repeat it twice this time. And then we're going to go to the G string and play the same thing. So we pick the 9, hammer onto 10, hammer onto 12. So that part's going to sound like... So far we've got... Right, now we're going to go back to the D string and we're going to pick 9, hammer onto 10, hammer onto 12. Then we go back to the G string again, we're going to pick 9, hammer onto 10, hammer onto 12, but we're going to do that twice. And now we're going to go to the B string and we're going to pick 10, hammer onto 12, hammer onto 13. So that part's going to be... And then for the last part of this first section, we're going to go back to the G string, we're going to pick 9, hammer onto 10, hammer onto 12. Back to the B string, pick 10, hammer onto 12, hammer onto 13. But we're going to do that twice, so it's going to be... And then we're going to go to the high E string and we're going to pick 10, hammer onto 12, hammer onto 13. And then to end off the first section, we're just going to slide from that 13th fret to the 15th fret of the high E. So the first section is going to sound like this. And the second section is going to sound like this. So now we're going to do a bunch of pull-offs where we ended on the 15th fret of the high E. We're going to pick 15th fret and then pull off to the 13 and then the 12. And then we're going to do the same thing, but now on the B string, pick the 15, pull off to 13, pull off to 12. Now we're going to go back to the high E and we're going to pick the 13th fret, pull off to 12, pull off to 10. Then the same thing on the B string, pick the 13, pull off to 12, pull off to 10. Now we're going to go to the G string, we're going to pick the 12th fret and then pull off to the 10 and then the 9. Then we're going to go to the D string and we're going to do the same thing, pick the 12, pull off to the 10, pull off to the 9. And then last thing we do is hammer on back onto the 10th fret. So that'll be... So now everything all together. If you want to do some palm muting as well while you're doing the exercise, of course you can, but mainly focus on the hammer-ons and pull-offs. So take it slow and then just build speed from there. And you'll get there in no time. You can also practice parts of the exercise without any picking at all. Right guys, but now it's time for you to go practice, so that's all from me today. I do hope that you found this lesson helpful in some way, and if you did, please consider leaving a like or a comment. It really helps me out a lot. And of course, you can subscribe for more as well if you want to. But otherwise, I hope you keep well, and good luck with your practicing. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.